when you start looking into it, there's so much more. There's fear, there's guilt, there's shame, there is insecurity, 10 best ways to make her come, and how to keep him in your life forever. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I struggle. You struggle. Everyone does.
Hello guys, and welcome to another Brett Moran podcast. I'm really excited to bring on this guest because she is a sexologist. I literally just asked her, does that help you have better sex? Her name is Lucy Carley, and I just want to get straight into it. Lucy, what on earth is a sexologist? Tell me everything. We've got an hour. Let's get straight in.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Really grateful that you're here on a serious note. Thank you so much for coming all the way over. But yeah, please tell me all about sex.
So all about sex.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story that is something that I discovered myself recently, and it boggled my mind a bit. If you think about this, everything that we learn through observation and repetition. Ever since we're babies. Yeah. We learn how to smile, we learn how to walk and to talk just by replicating the behavior of the people around us. For the finer skills in life, somebody teaches us. Riding a bike, swimming, reading, writing. And then eventually we pay stupid amount of money to go to university for 5 years, 10 years, however long, to have a degree, to have a piece of paper that tells us that we're equipped to fulfill a specific role. Except sex. There's nothing out there. You know, it's not like we're going to observe people having sex and mimic the behavior. There are magazines that talks about it, but it's all very conceptual. You know, 10 best ways to make her come and how to keep him in your life forever. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And beyond that, there's porn. And porn has... It's a minefield that can have a lot of positive effect, but it can have mostly very bad effect.
Just as you're talking, I'm just thinking my sex education was like, my dad told me, this was back in the day, there's like a VHS, like a videotape, and that was my education. It was like a porn video.
Bloody lucky you.
To watch some video, right?
Most people don't know anything about it.
And then you watch now, you can watch porn almost instantly online, right? Or you can watch it. And you think that's how sex is. But
exactly.
You're saying it's more than that.
And it's way more than that. And I didn't know that. Like everybody else in the world, we go through the motions of it and having not a clue of what we're doing. And there is an extra pressure on men because society have told women to rely on a guy to know what he's doing, and he does what he needs to do, and we're supposed to go, oh, this is amazing, oh my God, you're wonderful, and it just doesn't work like that. 10 out of 10 times, it's a freaking underwhelming experience that's pretty disappointing, because truth is, you guys have no idea what you're doing.
I love that. You know, I'm just thinking, I just started doing some salsa and bachata dancing for the last 6 or 8 months, and it's so out of my comfort zone. I'm doing the dancing, but the thing that I love the most about it is when the girl has the confidence to give us feedback, because the men are leaders in these dances, right? And then the women are followers, or, you know, it can be any way around gender, but there's normally a leader and there's a follower. But for us guys that have no idea what we're doing when we're dancing, we're stepping on the toes, we're feeling insecure. But when the woman or the follower gives us the feedback and says, oh, maybe a little bit harder on the hand, a bit softer here, but that. And in my brain then I'm just thinking, why didn't they do that when we was having sex? Because we're not talking openly,
I'll answer
right?
that to you because they don't know how. They're not taught to know.
To ask to share feedback.
That we women are meant to follow the lead of a guy and just fake the way through into pretending that they're having a great time when they're really not, because they don't know themselves. Nobody tells you, hey honey, go masturbate, have fun, enjoy your body, figure it out what you want, and then you tell a guy. And then you guide him into doing what you want him to do. So overall, a sexologist is someone that educates. I am an educator. I don't like the idea.
Sex educator.
A sex educator.
That's brilliant. Antonio, the cameraman, smiling.
in all realms, in all aspects. And what does sex mean to people? It means so many different things. And at the most obvious, I think, realm of working with people, it's very much like, my dick doesn't work, help. Men experiencing erectile dysfunction. Or I come too soon, help. But that's just the scratch in the surface of the of the iceberg.
The bigger picture.
When you start looking into it, there's so much more. There's fear, there's guilt, there's shame, there is insecurity, there's all sorts of stuff. And it all boils down to the same thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Nobody has ever given me feedback. Or I work a lot with porn stars and I work a lot with prostitutes. And it's incredible, this perception that we have of them being people that are having a great time and they're super confident and they're super hard and they're super wet. Oh my God, behind the scenes, they're so broken and they're so disconnected.
That's just obvious, right? For not for everybody, but on looking out, it's like,
exactly,
wow.
Exactly. It's like, they have this glazed eyes. And unfortunately, they have trained themselves to respond to a stimulation. It's like giving a treat to a dog.
Yeah, Pavlov's theory.
Yeah, exactly, Pavlov's theory.
Yeah.
And the body reacts and they don't even know why. They can't connect. So there's so much that a somatic sexologist and somatic is important.
What does somatic mean?
Body, in the body. Soma means the body. So which means is that I don't work just with the mind, I work with the body. I work educating people into touch and self-pleasuring and masturbation coaching and...
Masturbation coaching,
yes.
Brilliant. I'm loving it. We're like, 5 minutes into the podcast and I've already found a masturbation coach. Brilliant.
And we have another 50 minutes. Okay, let's wait until we're...
Antonio, keep taking notes.
Where are we going to go down into?
I'll be watching this podcast back before we even release it. So, what is a masturbation coach?
Okay, so... going back again to perhaps your experience and the experience of 99.9% of boys out there, jerking off is something to be done fast, quick. No one needs to know about it, or no one has to know about it. Preferably if you come, you don't want to leave any evidence, because God forbid your parents figured out that you're jerking off.
Yeah.
So the majority of boys that will now become men or are now men, they have developed this pattern of behavior of jerking off really quickly. It's the amount of men that go to bed and they say, I'm feeling a little bit stressed, so I'm going to jerk off to relax. And in that, you become disconnected to the experience. And then when you connect with a woman, the touch of a woman is very different. It's not the same, and it doesn't provide the same level of satisfaction. The mouth of a woman is very different. It doesn't have the same grip. It doesn't have the same speed. It doesn't have the same temperature. And it's going back to the theory, the Pavlov theory. You create a habit, and your body learns how to respond to that habit and perceives it to be as pleasure. So most men out there, they're jerking off. And they jerk off fast, furious, and each that needs to be scratched, and that's about it. So masturbation coach, and this goes for men and women, because women also have their own patterns of behavior. So masturbation coach helps men to reconnect with pleasure. And I always say to my clients, you do not have a penis, you become a penis. You're a dick, a full-blown dick, and you have the capacity and the ability to feel pleasure throughout your body. So you start self-pleasuring or masturbating, not between your legs, first in your mind, and then in your heart, and then in your skin, and you feel just about every part of it.
Very tantric, right?
Yeah, very tantric, exactly. And if you become really good at it, you can just breathe into the sensation, noticing what's happening in your genitals, and that can lead you to having an orgasm. That's pretty advanced. But at the most basic level is just to
getting men to slow
change
down.
The pattern of behavior, which in turn leads to men being disconnected from women, or feeling that sex with women is a pretty... Well, not just women and men, like whichever is your preference.
Yeah.
There's a disconnection, and you're going through the motions of fucking, but you're not present to it. You will come. That's not a problem, because you're responding to the...
It's very animalistic when you're talking about this.
We're
we're so I don't know about women. I can only obviously speak through my experience, not even other guys. But it's very animalistic when I was unaware and unconscious, and you just you put it in, and you have your ejaculation, and you come out, and then
and you're done.
Have a cigarette and have a beer, and then you're done.
Lucky you.
And it's like, and now I've learned more about tantra and how much of a goddess a woman is, and how long it takes for a woman to feel even wet and get pleasured.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like what? Like I was just acting like an animal. And I think, do you think that's like a lower level of consciousness where people, because, I'm thinking of some people back, like might be watching this podcast, or people that I grew up with, or people back, not on cocaine yang. They've never meditated. They think this conversation is mental, right? They're like, wow. And do you feel like that's a level of consciousness that they might not even be able to grasp just yet because they're so... on that lower chakra, it's about survival, it's about sex, it's about making money. And then we're talking about, coming into your heart, opening up the woman. Is like that's so far out there for people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the mainstream.
I am in love with you right now.
I'm always in love.
So here's the thing. I work in Europe. I work with bankers and lawyers and engineers and doctors and waiters, people that have you will use the word chakras. From the majority of people that I work with, they don't have a clue. They don't understand any of it.
Yeah, me too.
So the language that I use is a language that makes it accessible to everyone, which is the language of science, which is the language of neuroscience. So I'm a very weird tantric person because I don't use the word tantra, healing, healer, goddesses, lingam, yoni. I talk dicks and pussies and all that sort of stuff, which then gives access to people understanding.
You're kind of meeting people where they're at.
Where they are at.
And you're taking them.
And that is what Kali is. Kali is a Hindu, not necessarily a goddess, but a deity, that she is the light and the darkness. There is a quote which is on my website which says, "In darkness I reside, in light I create." So I meet people where they are at. I go down and dirty at their level. And then through education and through reframing what they think and how they feel, they will then ascend. It's not about me making them do anything. They have to bring themselves out of where they are at.
It's kind of like you're just giving your hand and you're just kind of like guiding them for the first two steps and then off they go.
Yeah. So to answer your question about the primal, so this is the one thing that I explain to everyone. Our brain has 3 phases of formation. The first one is known as the limbic brain, i.e. the reptilian brain.
The lizard brain.
The lizard, primal. Eat, sleep, fuck, survive. Fucking at the level that you're talking about functions at that level because it's all about procreation. And procreation is key to survival. So at that level, you, the masculine, that has this factory producing sperm 24/7, it's your job to fuck around everything and anything that moves that's available to be fucked.
And is that why you think guys are constantly looking for I know what my little brain goes, it's like, poof, and I'm like, wow, it's so quick.
That's why a guy looks at a woman and goes like, boobs, pussy, oh fuck yeah, look at that
when
ass.
They're in that lizard brain in
the lizard brain, and that's part of you. You cannot. I think it's a very weird concept when rising your vibration, rising your energy, becoming more conscious, to try and divorce yourself from that. I think it's the opposite, and I work with the opposite. You need to embrace the animal, invite the animal out, know when the animal is welcome to be there, because that excites women, that excites the hell out of women.
But what about if the animal's there? Because I know my past Brett and his past sexual behaviour was an animal, mainly go-go girls in Pattaya, Thailand, and, all over the place.
Did you go to ping pong shows?
Ping pong shows, strip clubs in London, absolute complete different person talking today.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment or guilt or anything. It's just where he was with his levels of consciousness. But if I would have said to him, that's okay, invite that animal in and keep going, I wouldn't be where I am today. So you're not saying, so you said kind of invite that animal in and women love that, which I love, but when does the guy know when to stop and control that?
Okay, there's no stopping, no controlling.
But then I would just be out having sex with everybody.
There is, hang on, there's a little trick there. There's
a little trick
there. That's where I come in. It's about choice. Once you know your animal, once you really go deep into the darkness of your animal, you can choose. And when you choose to bring the animal out, you can bring it out in a state of intimacy, not in a state of unconscious dopamine high.
Yeah.
You know,
be with a partner and say, right, I'm letting the animal out
You can
tonight.
exactly.
She's like, woohoo.
And the partner can
Let me just text
surrender.
someone quickly. Just going to text a friend.
And the partner can surrender into the animal, because women also have that animal.
Are there women that don't want the animal and they want more of the touch and the love and the flow? Because, you know, I've done lots of tantra workshops and had tantra coaches. Are there some women that don't want that animal? Because I also want to be mindful that not every guy needs to be this animal. Because
No.
I've come from that.
Yeah.
Now I'm definitely not that. I feel very loving and in my heart space and different chakras, as we could call that. And there's a lot of men out there now on podcasts and YouTube, like, got to be this man and you've got to have this masculine energy. It's like, yeah, okay, for some guys. But does every man need that? The question is, does every woman really want that? Guys, I know you're enjoying the video, but I've got a quick question for you. Are you okay with that monkey mind being a monkey? We've all got this voice inside the head, or voices filled with self-doubt, criticism, judgment. But most people don't understand how important it is to master that monkey mind. So look, if you've got a monkey mind or a voice that is just busy inside your head and it never seems to shut up, I know exactly how you feel. And thankfully, I found meditation about 20 years ago. And so I have an amazing opportunity for you. It's the Bodhi Meditation Teacher Training Program. This 10-week program is designed to share with you 8 Bodhi meditations. And the amazing thing about these meditations is that they are scientifically proven to help you reduce stress, reduce anxiety, uplift your mood, boost your energy. In other words, create that kind of lifestyle, that energy and that health and that happiness that most people crave. Over the course of 10 weeks, I'm going to be your meditation coach. And at the end of this course, you're going to become a certified Bodhi meditation teacher. That means that you can coach people one-to-one, you can work from anywhere in the world, build online courses, or even teach meditation at yoga retreats or anywhere you decide. So click that link below and together will open up your heart so that you wake up feeling positive and literally this buzz for life. The link is below. Now you can get back to your video. Have an amazing day.
Okay, so podcast guys, be the man, grab her by the throat and bend her over. These are little boys. I'm sorry. These are insecure, needy, codependent, loving little boys that are looking for a fucking mommy and they don't know how. So they kind of, they switch the script. They need to have control, but it's really all about them being very mature.
So articulated that so well.
A man, a real man, a man that knows his strengths but also knows his vulnerabilities. You can be a loving, intimate animal.
Say that again. That gave me the tingle.
You can be a loving, intimate animal.
That's so beautiful.
You can go into the strength and the power of your masculinity because that animal is needed. Otherwise, you're going to become best friends with whoever it is that you are with. And within 2 years, you're going to be looking at the next boob because the boob that you have at home has become your mother or your best friend or your whatever. Women welcome. Now, I'm going to say something that's on the edge of being challenging because I am a challenging person, and much of it is to do with my own personal journey and observation and working with clients. Women that do not want the animal, they are bypassing themselves. They're bypassing their own animal.
What does that mean?
If you think about, let's go back into the chakra concept, which is those portals of energies that flows into the body. If you want loving, intimate, eye-gazing, breathing, you're bringing the sexual energy to operate from your heart, from your solar plexus, which is your emotional center, your throat and your head, and you're bypassing the hunger in your pussy. You're bypassing, my pussy is a monster. It's kind of like, the cookie monster. The more it gets, the more it wants. But that's the animal, and then I can choose to feed in a way that's very conscious.
Because there's a lot of unconscious behaviours out there, right?
There's a lot of unconscious
Not
behavior.
condoning people's behaviours,
Yeah.
but now we can see why they're doing it.
Exactly.
You've got all these chemicals going on inside. You've got this reproductive system. You've got this. We'll come back to those free brains
Yeah.
because I know I've gone off on one.
That's
but then
right.
it's like then that's why people act and behave in ways and
Yeah.
causes some mess in society.
And there is a lot of unconscious behavior into bringing the awareness of intimacy up into the highest levels of communication and the universe and all that sort of stuff. And let's make love and bring love into the world. But then it also bypasses and disconnects the raw sexuality. The lizard brain is there for a reason, and it's needed and it's wanted, and it's part of what makes sex so exciting. You know, there's a script that is developed in that at that level that makes us feel attracted to each other. Otherwise, we would be very passive. There's no polarity. There's no charge. It just falls flat, and we ended up holding hands in kumbaya. And
which is great if people
which
want
is
that,
great.
right? Yeah.
Which is great.
What are the other two parts? You said there's the lizard
Right.
brain and then there's
so the
two
next
more.
part is the part that has complicated our lives immensely, which is the mammalian brain, responsible for emotions. And well, let me rephrase that: responsible for feelings, because feelings and emotions are different things and they register in different parts of the brain. Now, this is called the mammalian brain because in order for a female to breastfeed a baby, doesn't matter which animal it is from, something needs to happen, a bond needs to happen, because otherwise, why the hell would I put my boobs in your mouth, you know, for 45 minutes every 3 hours a day for the next 3 months of my life? I wouldn't. So then the hormones responsible for bonding, oxytocin, they are there. This
love
is
chemical.
this is the love chemical. This is the puppy dog chemical. This is the chemical that is searching for more than just sex, for more than just fuck, but the intimacy, the connection,
Touching.
the touch. It's the part of us. We can call it romance, which also is the part of us that develops attachment and love languages and all that comes with it. And it's necessary because otherwise, at the level of animals, we would literally, yes, how does it go? Yes, ma'am, bang, bang, wham, bang. Oh, wham,
Wham, bang,
bang.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, wham, bang, thank you, ma'am. Wham, bang, thank you, dude.
Yeah.
Goodbye, next.
Yeah.
And there is no real attachment. And one of the things that we as human beings seek is belonging, because we can't survive by ourselves. So we need to belong, and we need to belong to a tribe. We need to belong to a community. We need to belong to someone. So the mammalian brain and the emotions, they are responsible for creating that connection, for bringing us together, for giving us an indication of who am I in this existence, what's my role, what's my purpose. It is the kind of thing that makes you become a father and care for your offspring as opposed to eat it, like it happens in the animal world. And the third brain is the one that creates judgment and guilt and shame, because it's it's the cognitive part of our brain, the thinking brain. The neocortex and everything else. So we have like the survival brain, the emotional brain, the thinking brain. And emotions are not feelings. Emotions are interpretations of the feelings that we have based on our experiences, based on our society, based on our family, based on everything else. So we are always interpreting a situation to understanding what it means,
Like
but that
meaning of it.
interpretation, exactly the meaning, we're placing meaning. So things like rejection is a thought. It's not a feeling. You know, if you track, so because I work with a somatic, a lot of men, especially, for instance, men that have never had sex, virgins, they're afraid of rejection. The fear of rejection is so huge because they don't know what they're doing, and they're conscious that they don't know what they're doing, so they don't know even how to start something. They're caught in this cycle of being stuck. And it's like, okay, so just feel into your fear of rejection. Find fear of rejection in your body. Where do you feel? And they can't find it. They can
because
find
it's not a feeling.
because it's not a feeling.
It's more of a story in your head.
It's a story in your head. It's a story in your head. So the combination of those three elements, once you know how they work, once you know how they are intertwined, once you understand the measurements of your upbringing and your past and your family, then you start being able to choose different paths of behavior. And it's a long process, and it's a process that requires ongoing
Taking me like
awareness.
20 years to get
exactly.
here.
This
Yeah.
is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You know, clients sometimes they say, how many sessions do I need? And inside of myself, I kind of laugh a little bit, and I think, I've been doing this thing for like 25 years, ongoing, continuously, and I still fall flat on my face time and time again.
So beyond mating, fucking, and having this animal instinct, there must be a higher level of because for me, like, I get all the labels and I get all the words that we use for the brains and the chemicals, and I definitely feel it when I see a hot woman walk past, especially in bloody Koh Phangan, right? The islands are full of women. It's beautiful. So I see the Olympic and I see all these kind of behaviours. Thankfully now I can make choices not to act. Again, not perfect. I'm still learning like everyone else. But through the experiences that I've had through tantra coaches and teachers and learning, and mainly through meditation and my own awareness, not my awareness, going into that space, there is an awareness of all of this stuff. Can we then make love or have sex or do these things from that space rather than from this limited person that does have a limbic brain, does have a dick, the woman does have a hungry, whatever, and we're going into it that way? Can we go to a higher level of consciousness to then actually start making pure love and connecting to the divine?
So you know the answer is yes.
Yeah, but absolutely. I want to kind of see...
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to see how you would explode. So basically, what's the goal of the sexologist I get? And you take people on a journey of coaching, for example, and you take them. Then what's the end goal? Is it just that they can fuck better? Is it just that they can have a connection? Or is it so they can actually go to higher levels? And what's the goal?
Yeah, so so this is a very, very good question. I meet my clients, which I don't call them clients, I call them partners, because I always tell the people that I'm working with, between the two of us, you're the expert. It's your life.
Yeah,
it's
they're the
you.
guru. They're the teach. They know.
You
right?
know your stuff. I'm here just with a big range of toolboxes that we're going to try and mix and match and see what works for you to get you to where you want it to be.
So each partner is going to want something different.
Exactly. And I need to respect the level that they are at and the level of satisfaction of where they consider success to be. And for some people that have, let's say, experienced a lack of erection all their lives, being hard's like a miracle.
That's
like
the goal.
That's the thing. That's the holy grail. It's more than a goal. It's a dream. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is now. I am in charge, or I am in choice. I don't like to use the word charge because it implies that you can control your body. You can't quite control your body. You can learn how to work with it and respect it and listen to it. But the concept that we can control the body is a bit silly because the body will do what it does. But for those people, this is like beyond anything that they had expected. Now, because I am working in the realm of education, when I teach touch, I use the will of consent. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I use the will of consent as the basis.
Do you want to explain what consent is for anybody that's
I
not?
will.
Well, it's not, because when I went to my first workshop, I was like, wow. To me, it was so obvious. But for a lot of women that I met at the workshop, had never heard of it before. So what would you say consent is?
How much longer do we have? Okay, so in a nutshell, I work a lot with language. And the language that you speak may not be understood by me whatsoever. Because if you think about the child that has grown up into a loving family with a structure, with a time to wake up and a time to go to bed, consent to them means something very different than a child that was born, for instance, on the streets and had no one to tell them to have a shower, to wake up, or to go to school, or it's time to eat. So I start with the concept and the idea that consent is very subjective to the understanding of each individual. And in order for me to be able to work with you in helping you formulate your consent and your boundaries, I have to understand where you're coming from.
Know their background.
The background, the language that they speak to. What does it mean to you? You know, a kid that has gone to, let's say, a Catholic boarding school in the 60s has a very different idea of what consent is to my kids that have gone to a very progressive school in the year 2000. They will not speak the same language. So I start with that principle that everything you say to me, I always ask, what does that feel like for you? Or what does it mean for you? How does this experience show up in your life? So I can understand, so I can have an understanding of who you are. But primarily, consent is the ability that a person has to say a very clear yes, which I call it an enthusiastic yes, or a very clear no. And the no and the yes do not have to be justified, explained, and maybe is a no.
I think one of the best things to share, when I went to my first Tantra workshop, or my second Tantra workshop, I remember when either partner would say no, the other person would say, thank you for honouring and respecting yourself.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so lovely. Yeah. It's like, because when somebody says no, the other person might get, oh, why not? You know, or they get kind of like, oh, why, what have I done? They'll take it either personally or they'll force a bit more. But what they was teaching was the other person would go, no, thank you for honouring and respecting yourself because you said no. And the teacher said, we can always change your mind as well. So the no can be a yes and a yes can also be a no. And for you to learn that. And I just thought that was so... Because, yeah, sometimes we forget to thank and honour people for saying no. Absolutely. They don't want to do something. Or, yes, actually, I do want to do it. You know, it's so about me and what I want to get sometimes, not just sex, life, right?
In life, in everything. And I do teach everyone to notice how much we tolerate, and we do that through exercises about touch.
I mean, tolerating means like
putting up with things that we really don't feel like it and really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
How many times somebody asks you something and you say, yeah, why not? Well, this is not a yes.
Yeah, and then you kind of resent it later,
why
right?
not?
Or
and you resent it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you wish it, or you go home and you think, oh God, no, I have this thing tomorrow that I said I would do. And you force yourself into doing it, so you're really not present, not enjoying.
Why do you think when it comes to sex then, and I could be completely wrong here, but I would guess, being a man, that we're a bit more forceful and we want it, and some girls might kind of like, they might do it because they're putting up with it, or they might be trying to please a guy, so it could be completely wrong. But why do you think some girls might not have that confidence or that consent because of their background and because of their upbringing? That's my question. The end.
That's such a good question. So again, let's go back into childhood, because this is where everything starts, right? Generically speaking, we're taught not to respect our bodies.
Wow.
We're taught that no doesn't mean no. You know, you're not going to leave this table until you eat all your food. And there it is, 5-year-old kid, the stomach is full, I'm not hungry. My body's telling me no, I don't want it anymore. I am communicating no. I am saying no. And somebody that should love and care for me is bypassing my no, forcing me to eat. And on the back of that, either giving me a reward for eating. If you eat all of your you're going to get an ice cream. Right? Or if you don't eat anything, you're going to go to your bedroom without TV.
Getting punished for...
You get punishment for saying no, for not listening to yourself.
So
and you get rewarded by doing what somebody else wants you to do when your body has clearly said no. And we experience this at home with our parents. We experience in school with our teachers.
Society, whole government.
We experience every... So we replicate this behavior in sex. And we're not even conscious about it. We're not even aware of that.
That is so deep. If people really get that, that is so deep, right?
Yeah.
Because then when we get into the bedroom, and whether it's a guy or a girl doing it, that is so deep.
I cannot tell you how many times I arrived at a family environment. Like, oh, you have to hug Uncle so-and-so. And Uncle so-and-so for me at the time felt really creepy and weird because I didn't like the way he smelled. Or I didn't like the way... And I was like, no, and becoming shy, and I could feel my body cringing. And there are two things that plays. One, parents or grandparents or whoever says, don't be rude. Go and hug, da-da-da. And on the other hand, there's Uncle so-and-so looking at you, pretending to cry, making you feel guilty, responsible, and shit about, oh, well, you don't want to hug me, I'm so sad. And you go like, oh, so my role as a woman is to actually always bow down to whatever somebody else wants. And it just doesn't happen to women, it happens to men as well.
Yeah, totally.
In the hands of women. Right? Auntie so-and-so and Nana so-and-so, and there's this horrible thing that we are about 10 years old. I changed your diapers. It's awful because the diaper changing is such an intimate thing. There is someone wiping my ass and cleaning my genitals, and there's this whole exposure, and all of a sudden you're making it public that is what you used to do when I was a kid. And we do this unconsciously.
And then we take all of that blueprint and that unconscious thing goes in, and then we take it into when we're 30, 50, 60 in our bedroom with a partner.
Exactly. And we project that onto the partner, and we project that onto our behavior, onto our styles, onto our ability to ejaculate, or our ability to not ejaculate, or have an orgasm and not have an orgasm, painful sex, and all of that comes from all those misconstrued ideas.
So deluded, isn't it?
It's insane.
So deluded. And then you add all the porn. I get a lot of messages from guys that struggle with porn, and they have like really low energy, and and they go and it really affects their mental health. And I've not mastered it yet. I'm like, every few months I'll have a slip up, but I know how much that affects my mental and my emotional health. I hate it, if I'm honest, and it's taken me years to even get to where I am today. But when you add all of what you've just said there on, which is like another layer, then you add everything that we can just watch online within seconds, and then the way that you treat that woman in the bedroom, or the way that the woman wants it from that man. Like, we're not actually really being real or authentic.
No.
We're just being robots conditioned by generations of like all of these programming and just like or these experiences or moments we've had with family. And then what really saddens me is that we have a beautiful soul in front of us, have this opportunity to just have such a blissful experience, but we just like
we don't know how.
We don't know how. We
don't know how.
And that's where you come in.
Yeah, that's where I come in.
That's where you come in.
That's where I come in.
And then you teach people.
And I always share with you two things. So the first exercise at the somatic level that I propose is based on the will of consent. And it's two very simple questions. Question number one, how would you like to be touched by me for 3 minutes? And the amount of people that look at me and say, well, you know how, because you're the expert. And I said, no, that's not the question. How would you like to be touched? And there is silence. Because the answer is, I don't know. No one has ever.
That is so powerful.
No one has ever asked me that. And on the back of that, there are tears that start flooding for the realization that I've always been touched by someone that touched me, but I never actually questioned what is it that I wanted. No one has ever asked me what is it that I wanted. And then after the sadness comes in, it comes the anger for the memory of all those times that somebody has touched me and I tolerated the touch because I didn't have the language to say it otherwise. I couldn't express myself. So this is a moment of absolute shift. And people look at me and say, so am I allowed to ask for what I want? And the answer is yes. And you're allowed to say, I want, and describe. You're allowed to say, I don't want you to touch me. And for 3 minutes, we're going to sit here looking at each other. And you're allowed to say, I don't know how I want you to touch me. And for 3 minutes, we're going to sit here, and you're going to sit with, I don't know. And then I explain to them, when you ask for what you want, I am giving, and I agree to what you're asking for. I am giving, you're receiving. The action of the touch is from me to you, and the gift of that touch is from me to you because you're receiving.
Which is kind of hard for some people to receive, right?
Very
Especially
hard.
Well, I don't know.
That becomes
guys.
but that becomes like a complete shift. It's like, well, wait a minute. So you're going to touch me for what I want, and you're not going to get anything out of it as well. It doesn't work like that, because if I'm agreeing to what you want, I'm also in a state of pleasure.
It's funny you saying that, and I'm just going to be really vulnerable and honest, people listening at home. But like when I've pleasured a woman, because I generally want to really help her feel that bliss and just, I love it as well. There has been many times where there's no intention that I want anything back. Like I generally haven't wanted anything back, and I'll pleasure her for ages, and I love it. But, and it's happened so many times, I see the pattern. It's not just a once off. They were like, okay, I'll do it for you now. I'm like, no, you didn't need to.
Yeah.
It wasn't that.
Yeah.
And obviously, most of the times I never said no. But I'm just being honest. I've noticed these patterns. It's like, wow, I do something for you, then you've got to do something for me. They call it law of reciprocity.
Yeah.
I buy you something to eat, and then the next time we go for a meal, you'll probably buy me something to eat because you feel like you owe me one. But sometimes you don't owe each other one. It's like, I just want to pleasure you. I just want to have such a great time for you. And I get so much satisfaction and joy out of that. That's what I'm getting out of it. But I have noticed there's a pattern sometimes, and not just in the bedroom, in friendships. It's like, oh, you did that, now I'll need
do
to
that.
Yeah. Which, I just thought I'd share that, because sometimes it isn't about that,
But then that takes us to the second.
I was going to ask what the second question is,
Yeah,
because I've noted the first question.
So the second one, in the format of the will of consent, is also a question. But I feel that the format of the will of consent is so deep, that a lot of people struggle to kind of get a hold of it. So I simplified, and I've kind of adapted. The number one is a question, and the number one is a statement. And the statement is, I want to touch you in this particular way for 3 minutes. And now there's a shift in the dynamics. I'm no longer giving, and you're no longer receiving, because now I'm telling you what I want and how I want, and it's up to you to agree to that. So what's happening is now I am taking from you, and you're allowing me to take from you, because it's for me. I am touching you for me. It's for my pleasure. And a lot of people give or have an intention to give, but what they want is to receive something from you. I'm going to do this for you, because then next time you're going to do this for me.
Yeah.
It's taking you back into this,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a blowjob because I actually really want you to go down on me, but I'm
Or
going to
vice
start,
versa,
or
right?
vice versa. That's not giving and receiving. That's taking and allowing. And because
It's condition.
And because it is a conditional thing, and because it's not spoken, it's outside of consent. Because it's not clear. I can be very clear and say, I really want this from you, for me. And if you agree to that, you're allowing, and I'm taking. So the action is from me to you, because I'm still doing the doing, but now the gift is from you to me, because I'm taking what I want from you.
For somebody that's never done any tantra workshop, and they're watching porn, or you're male or female, having that kind of conversation, I'll give you an example. I have a client, a famous actress in another country, I won't mention her name, a beautiful lady, and she's very successful financially, outside and on society's version of what beauty looks like. She's got that kind of beauty, right? But she really struggles in relationships. And so from the outside, being her coach, I'm just like, you need to be really transparent and clear and have a conversation, communicate clearly what you want from these guys. And she can't do it. She finds it so hard to just speak and say what she wants. And we're not just talking about sex, we're just talking about in a relationship or how it's going to go. And then she repeats the pattern again 3 months later, and then the guy leaves her after they've got what they wanted. So I'm just thinking of her, and there's probably many out there as well. I know for me, it's so hard to speak and say these things and communicate sometimes, especially when you're in a bedroom with someone that you think is really hot and you want to make them like you.
You want to impress.
Yeah, you want to impress them, and do they like me? And you've got this fear of rejections and all these thousands of stories going on. How would you communicate clearly with somebody? How would you even start this conversation?
My question is, do they know what they want? Maybe they don't know what they want. Therefore, they can't communicate because they're not clear.
So find out what you want first.
Exactly.
Then communicate.
Exactly. And it's not easy. It's not easy because, like we're talking, I was born in Brazil. And Brazil has this aura of being a hot country, the most sexy women and samba and carnival, and oh my God, there is nowhere else in the world that you can go to have great sex and great fun.
We're going to Brazil next.
Antonio's like, yep, we are going to Brazil first. Well, I think everyone should. It's a beautiful country. But here's the thing.
Hello, you amazing viewer. I hope you're enjoying this video, and I've got some really exciting news for you. You know that moment when you're reading a book and it just ignites that light bulb moment for you? It wakes something up inside you, that passion, that enthusiasm, or that spark for life. Well, the big announcement is my new book, Awaken Your Spirit, is ready for either pre-order or, depending on when you're watching this book, you can order your copy right now. Over the last couple of years, I've poured my heart and soul into writing Awaken Your Spirit. I don't know about you, but sometimes that voice inside the head just never seems to shut up. Well, this book shows you a step-by-step process on how to really close your eyes and go inside and separate from this monkey mind and this never-ending conversation that goes round and round and round. Whether you're seeking inner peace, you're looking to recharge your batteries, or you want to feel more grounded and in harmony with life, this book has got something for you, and it's going to show you how to connect to a very deeper level within you. Now, I don't want to keep any more of your time. Get back to the interview, and again, if you're somebody that really is looking to get back in the driving seat of your life, master this monkey mind, reach your full potential, and ignite that excitement, that enthusiasm, and that passion for life, make sure you awaken your spirit just below. Have an amazing day and enjoy the rest of the video.
The message for women that are born in the country, and still the same message today, is be sexy, don't be sexual. There is this kind of women that men want to marry and make a family and be partners with, but then there's this kind of women that men want to have fun with, and they're not the same. So you have to wear the bikini, and you have to do the samba and the carnival and the glitter and the performance and the whole thing. Do not fuck around, because the moment you fuck around, you lose your worth and your value as a woman. And there's even a saying when I was a kid, which is like ridiculous. Coop up your hen, because my rooster, my cock, is at loose. So when boys were becoming teenagers, it's like, hey, my kid is hot and horny. You have a daughter. You'd better look after your daughter, because I take no responsibility for my son. And I grew up with that. And it's a mind fuck, because who am I? You know, yes, I wear the bikini, and yes, every fucking boy looks at my ass and my boobs and wants to have a piece of me. And guess what? I'm horny because I'm a teenager and my hormones are going all over the place. I want that too, but they are allowed and I am not. Because if I do that and people find out,
the woman will get judged and labeled.
Then, yeah, and I have had a friend that she was caught giving, I mean, this is like last year of high school, A-levels, we were all 18, 17, 18, and she was giving a blowjob to her boyfriend in the car, and somebody passed and recognized the car and they spray painted in the wall, in the outside wall, outside of the school, her name, and saying my dick is not a lollipop. And everyone, can you imagine this girl waking up, going to school, and realizing that there are 350 kids that knows that she's given a blowjob to her boyfriend the day before? She moved to schools, she moved cities, she went on a year-long something in the US to be away from that, to recover. This is fucking trauma. This is insane.
And what about nowadays then, when you've got like OnlyFans and social media, and I'm not putting it on the girls at all, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, us guys are horny. We do have these things that we can't control sometimes, until we become aware, and then we scroll through online and there's a beautiful woman. I can tell the difference when it's sexy and sensual, just by the image. I can just tell, like, and I don't know why that. Before I couldn't tell that. It's like every woman was, but you can just tell. So, but I also want to honour how beautiful it is. So it's like society's really fucked us up.
It has.
Because you really want to see this beauty, but then there's a way of presenting this beauty, which the guy will see as, I'll quickly have a wank over that, or hopefully I'll DM her and go and have some sex with her, sort of thing. But really, she's trying to do it to get a subscription on OnlyFans, or she's making some money or whatever. Like, society is really poisoned and polluted not only guys' minds but girls' minds as well, of how to, like, because it's beautiful to show that, but then when it's shown in a certain way, it sends a different signal.
Yeah. And I have had again 2 experiences. My ex kind of lover was 18 years younger than I was, and we're walking in London and we're bumping into this bunch of girls and they were going out, and he said, "What do I do with that?" I said, "What do you mean? How am I supposed to behave?" And I said, What do you mean? He says, "Look at them. Look at what they're wearing," which was nothing. Mm-hmm. "Look at how they're walking," which was as if they were in a catwalk, but in a very sensual and erotic. Clearly, they want me to look at them. Clearly, they know that dressing up like this will bring attention to them. But then if I show up and go up to them and say something, I may be casted as a perv. I may be, what guarantees that they're not going to call the police and say there's this guy harassing us? How do I behave?
It's such a good point, because that's kind of generally what I'm asking. Like, well, what do us guys do as well?
Exactly.
With this,
And again, I'm going to be on the edge of being hanged by a lot of women out there by what I'm going to say. But I am fully conscious that when I put a push-up bra on, that my boobs will look fucking amazing. And what I want is for you to look at it. And I know the power of my sexuality. I know what I can do to get you to look at me. I know how I can manipulate men, generically speaking, regardless of the age, and on top of everything else, because I have a lot of knowledge. So it's not just in body language, it's not just what I wear, it's how I talk.
How you move.
How I move, how I behave.
Do you think all women are doing that consciously, or do you think it's, again, years of generations of marketing and media of kind of now women are just doing it because it's like normal behavior?
It's conscious.
It's
conscious. It's conscious. We are sexual beings. We are aware of sex from the moment we're born. I remember I had this auntie. She was only 10 years older than I was. And she was the epitome of goddess. She was just like stunning. And she was 17 and I was 7. She was like the dancing queen. And she used to walk and her ass moved and swayed in the most beautiful way. And I, at the age of 7, used to try and mimic her. I forced my butt side to side because I knew she was getting something out of it. And I wanted what she had. I may not have understood what sex was. I may not have understood anything about it. But I felt inside my body.
It's like that monkey.
It's a turn, exactly. It's that thing. Now, I am aware. I am aware that what I wear changes the way I present myself, changes the message that I'm sending. Every woman is. Yes, we have the media, and we have now Facebook and OnlyFans and all of that, but we're not stupid. Little girls, ever since they're very little, they know how to wrap daddy around her fingers to get what they want. Daddy, I love you so much. I really want that doll, but mommy said I can't have it. There goes daddy like a puppy dog buying the doll and bringing it home. Boys also know how to be sexual beings ever since, but boys are not as refined as women are. Now, I'm not saying that because a woman is dressed up in a sexy way, that she's available
And there's nothing wrong with
And there's
dressing up in a
nothing
sexy
wrong
way,
with
right?
it.
It
There's
just seems
nothing
it's gone a
wrong with
bit
it.
kind of so far. But
Exactly.
then you get a lot of boys that are doing things that they don't want to do. Like
Yeah.
the guys that are texting me, I don't want to do it, but they just can't seem to stop it.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of girls that are making quick money now. It's easy
Yeah.
to do these sort of things or
Absolutely.
get the attention or
Absolutely.
get flowers or whatever it is. And they're kind of, again, to me, it's like, wow, we're missing something so beautiful.
Absolutely. Which is authenticity, honesty,
Yeah.
and connection. But a lot of people feel that is a weakness. So I cannot be vulnerable because that makes me weak.
Well, I just want to say to any man out there listening, I come from a very tough background when I was a kid.
Boys don't cry.
Yeah, in and out of prison and a racist football hooligan as a dad. I was like, "Rrr." And I really was that character, that role.
Yeah.
But going on this journey and having some very beautiful teachers and guides and like being vulnerable has made me feel the strongest I've ever felt in my life. And it's been bloody scary. My first tantra teacher, she got me to stand naked in front of the mirror while she prayed towards my feet and did this whole kind of ceremony. I'm just standing there naked and like there was no sexual, I've only ever been naked with a woman that I'm about to have sex with. So to do that, I felt so out of my comfort zone, so vulnerable. And then obviously there's hundreds of other moments where I've had to be vulnerable in these workshops, which I've loved. But it's made me feel like a real man. Like all of the outside crap that I've had in the past and how I've acted, like I never had a clue who I was. Like it was probably the weakest I've ever felt. But feeling very grounded in that vulnerability and being able to have an open, oh my God, my heart is fluttering. Oh my God, is she gonna, not sure what she might say and how she might respond. After, it's like a euphoric feeling of God.
Yeah.
You feel such a man.
Yeah.
And I just wish other guys could get that because
Get that.
yeah, because when you do masturbate and you feel really weak or when you're kind of acting out in certain ways and you don't kind of, not condoning what we've all done and what they might be doing, but we are doing it like robots or unconsciously, no wonder why we feel so weak. No wonder why most men will never follow their dreams or become who they were born to be, or why that animal takes over and then they just kind of like do whatever they want with it. But that vulnerability, I'm so glad you said that, to me is like the true strength of like being a man. And obviously for women as well. Like there's something so beautiful when a woman can say, no, I don't want you to do that. I'm like, wow, thank you for honouring and respect. That's beautiful. Or, hey, can you do this a bit more? I really like it. Like that's more of a turn on than just, see you later, having a fag, back in the old days. So yeah, I think vulnerability is a very powerful gift that we can give ourselves. We can only give that to ourselves, right?
Yeah. And this mirror experience is such a powerful one. And I offer that for everyone. And I offer that in 2 different containers. You stand in front of the mirror and you're going to have a conversation with yourself. You're going to be, so I am a witness. I am what I call a compassionate witness. I'm just holding the space for you to have this moment with you. And the amount of people that struggle to be naked in front of the mirror and actually looking at themselves.
While someone else is in the room.
While someone else is in the room.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else beyond that. And they realize how intimate, how insanely intimate and powerful that journey through your own body, through your acknowledgement of your flaws and how you judge yourself. Because it's not just about how we're judged by other people, it's how we judge ourselves. And sharing that with someone, that's kind of like a different layer and a different level of intimacy. And it is sensual. It can be very sensual.
You're dropping these masks. Then if I can do that with myself or with a coach, like a sexologist, a professional, and I go through this, then imagine when I go into the bedroom with somebody else that maybe has done that, we meet each other there rather than in these masks and these roles that we play.
And then going back into the world of porn, there's one thing that's happening across the board. Guys are looking at themselves and thinking, is my dick big enough? Do I get hard enough? Why don't I look like that?
At an unconscious level as well, right?
And an unconscious level.
Yeah.
And women too. And the number 1 plastic surgery today in the world is vaginoplasty, whatever, what is it they call it? The designer pussy.
Didn't even know that existed. If I'm honest.
Yes,
They
and
actually-
there are now equivalent for men where they inject fat and everything else to increase the girth and to increase the length surgically.
It's insane.
I know, right? So I take the mirror, which I call it a mirror meditation, a step further, where you use a small mirror and we do a genital mirror meditation.
I've seen this before, yeah.
Right? Where you can do it and it's between you and yourself and your genitals, and I'm just an observer. But if I am standing in as a partner, I will sit behind you and I will hold you while you make peace with your body, while you talk about your frustrations, while you talk. And that has a power that is just freaking insane. It's vulnerability level 100. And I work a lot with that, generically speaking, with everyone. But with women that have had children, natural birth, they have a disconnection from their bodies because it's a scary thought to reconnect with vulva and vagina that has now become a birth canal. And there's this whole piece of sex and motherhood. How does that fit into each other? And also sex and fatherhood. You know, this woman that was a woman now has become mommy to my child. How do I come back into woman? So there's a whole lot of stuff out there that we don't speak about. But the mirror work is something that is very powerful, very intimate, very scary, crazy vulnerable.
But so worth it.
I love doing it. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah, like all of this work is
It's
so...
my favorite thing.
All this journey of like, this whole podcast is about having conscious conversations with people so that we can, just share a message that maybe the way that you're doing it, there might be a different way or a better way. Nothing wrong with the way that you're doing anything, but the only way that we're ever going to change and evolve personally or collectively is when we have that level of awareness, or we hear somebody say, well, you might not have to do it that way. There could be a better way, or you could maybe change. And for me, that's the whole journey that it's been on. It's like the best gift. And it's, I think what I'm getting from you is this, I don't know, just clear communication, either with yourself or with somebody else. Acceptance, either with your body or with somebody else's.
Yeah.
It's just very, very authentic. I think you used the word authentic, integral. And what better gift could you give yourself to really meet yourself?
Absolutely.
And then share that with another person in the bedroom and have great sex, you know? Or just even with your friends and just really show up as yourself.
Yeah.
There's a great quote, isn't it? One of the hardest things to be sometimes is yourself, but everybody else is taken.
Absolutely.
You know, and my whole kind of journey of being a presenter or making videos or writing books, it's like you're trying to be a better author, or you're trying to present it in a certain... And it's not until the day you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to be me. And people are either going to enjoy it or not.
Or not.
But it takes years for some people to even just be you.
does.
You know, if you go into a bedroom with a woman or a man and they don't accept you, it's like, that's okay. There's a few more out there that I can go and connect with, you know? Just be yourself.
People don't want you to be you. You know, they want you to be like everybody else because it's easier to formulate and control people if they are sheep.
Yeah. The government needs all the... I don't go into that.
But, let's not go into that. But
totally,
And it starts, like I said, it starts at school with people controlling what you can and you cannot do with your time. You know, now you're going to sit, now you're going to stand up. Now is the time that you go to the toilet. Now is the time that you're going to play. Now it's the time. Yeah. Structure is important because otherwise it becomes a bit...
Well, like education, it's so important, but it's brainwashing is different.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Just
propaganda.
Yeah, and I am a huge advocate of sex education for children from as young as 3 years old. And everyone's going to go like, oh my God, you can't even possibly say, yes, I can. And it's so very easy. Rather than assuming that you can pick up a baby and kiss and smooch and whatever, even if it's your baby, you ask them, would you like a hug? And they can say yes or no. And if they say no, they don't have to give you an explanation as to why not.
Yeah, it's just a no from them.
It's a no. And you say, okay, I really would love to have a hug from you, but whenever you feel like it.
Nice, I like that a lot.
Right? And you give them the time and the space to do that stuff.
It all starts from there. Everything that we're struggling with in this society, it started from that blueprint.
And it's like, honey, lunch is served. I'm not hungry, I don't want to eat. That's fine. You don't have to eat right now. Your food, it's going to be in the oven or on the counter, whatever else. When you're hungry, you come and eat. But that's what you're going to eat. You know, it's not like over-spoiling with too many choices. But to say, hey, I made a commitment. I'm sticking with the commitment that I've made it for you. Here's your food. Take it or leave it. But don't ask me to do any more than that, because I've done my job. So it's really creating a sense of freedom of choice. But yeah, also the awareness that your choices have consequences.
I love it. I could talk to you for ages. I've got so many more questions. I'm taking notes.
Cool.
For people that are at home, never come to Copenhagen, like for me, back in the day, if you spoke about meditation, tantra, sex, I'm like, it was just too far out of my consciousness or awareness to understand any of this stuff. What would you say to some guys that might be struggling with masturbation or sex or anything, or girls that might be struggling with body image or kind of trying to keep up with like the societal kind of roles? Like, what would if you could just give one little message to everybody listening, what would it be? I know that's such a big question and it's like there's so much, but just somebody that's kind of new at this, or they're at the beginning of their journey, or they're struggling, what would you say to them?
You're not alone. I struggle. You struggle. Everyone does. We inherited so much stuff that doesn't belong to us. And we carry and we replicate as if it's our obligation to keep carrying that stuff on behalf of our parents, our grandparents, our society, our everything. And we feel a sense of isolation. We feel a sense of, I am the only one. The whole world is having fun. The whole world is having sex. The whole world is getting it right. And I am so wrong. You're fucking not alone.
I like that a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of people that do feel alone, especially when you're going through something.
Yeah. And we don't have somebody to talk to, and we don't, because it's not like, it's really funny. People say, oh my God, you must be super busy because you must be recommended. I said, no, you go to a good hairdresser. You tell everyone that you've been to a good hairdresser. You go to a sex therapist. You're not going to tell anyone, right? You're not going to say, oh, dude, my dick didn't work, and then I went to this, and it was amazing, and she's great, and if your dick ever stops working, it's just like an underground thing that no one even wants to acknowledge.
Yeah, it's funny because now I've had, and this is for me another gift of being vulnerable, and we'll just kind of wrap it up because we could go on forever. But I think what I like doing now is being vulnerable in front of other guys, and it's just like a little seed that I plant. And I'm generally not trying to do it to like go, oh, poor me, or the stuff, because I've got no time for this ego. I can see that this guy is there. And if I just throw this little bit of vulnerability, you know what? I feel really insecure when I dance with these girls because I don't know if they're going to reject me. Yeah. They just go, huh. And you can see that that's exactly what they've been thinking, or like what you've just been saying there. Like there is a power in sharing that with other people. But I guess, most people don't want to talk about not getting it up, or girls not talking about like, I can't come with my boyfriend because it's kind of again, it's a taboo and embarrassing thing. But if it's done in the right way, we actually can set each other free and grow together, right?
And there's this idea that we should know how to do it. Well, no. We don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
We really don't know. We are going into this completely blind, without any guidance. There's loads of books out there that we read, but they don't really represent ourselves, our truth. If we're talking about a bit of Tantra and stuff, there are books that are read and they're so far off from the level that the majority of people are at that they can't relate to that. A book that starts about chakras, like, what the hell are you talking about?
Too far out. We need to start with the basics, with the principles. How would you like to be touched? For 3 minutes. That's exactly
3 minutes.
I'm having a Russian romance at the moment, and that's exactly what that's the next question I'm going to ask her.
Yeah.
How would you like to be touched for 3 minutes?
Yeah, and it just goes back anyway. Right? It's a brilliant question.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how people just go like, oh.
I hope she doesn't ask me to make a cup of tea. I hate making tea. I'd like you to make a cup of tea. I'm like, that backfired. Okay, Lucy, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on here.
Thank you
honestly,
so much for having me.
All jokes aside, I hope that helps people listening, anybody at home. How can they get in touch with you? If they want to learn from you, do you have a website, Instagram?
I do have a website. I am resistant to social media like hell.
Totally get that.
The Naked Room, www.thenakedroom.net.
The Naked Room, I love that.
I know.
Okay, so we'll put the links underneath in the video, and if anybody has any questions, even though it's kind of like all jokes aside, if there is something that people are going through, they can reach out. If they need a coach, a sexologist coach.
Absolutely.
Like, again, for any men listening, I can't speak for women, obviously, but I just know how important it's been to have tantra coaches. I've had male coaches, I've had female coaches, I've been to these workshops, I've cried, I've had the vulnerability, and I've just never felt so free. So if any guys are listening and they look up, you know, or they follow us in some way, like, I would say, please reach out to someone like you.
And we still do it. It's not like our journey has ended.
No, totally.
We still keep. I do go through all of that, and I'm supervised, and I've got my therapist, and I cry and I scream, and I get it wrong, and I get my heart broken. We're human beings. Welcome to the condition of being human.
Yes. Lucy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll get you back for some more.
And thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah. Have a great day, everyone.
Cool. Thank you.
Hello viewers, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm hoping that you enjoyed it just as much as we enjoyed making it. We love this adventure we're on, we love growing this community, and we would love you to actually help us. So I've got a favor to ask you. Make sure that you subscribe below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and turn that notification button on, because that actually helps us with the algorithm. In other words, it's going to help us reach more people and spread this ripple effect. And I really appreciate your time and energy for watching any video. So if you've got any comments or questions or queries, make sure you pop them in the box below. By subscribing, you're going to be one of the first people to know when we release new content. If you really want to take your journey and your growth to the next level, make sure you watch this next video and have an amazing day. Once again, thank you so much for your time and your energy. See you in the next video.